Ambassador, what do you have to say about the ceasefire plan that is being talked about? Is it likely to happen? What do you have to say?
We hope it happens. I think we've been waiting too long to get finally the result we want to get, is to bring back all our hostages and make sure that Hamas cannot rearm and regroup and renounces power in the Gaza Strip. The recent proposals that have been put on the table, I think, are getting us closer to that, but there are still many details that have to be determined. There is one option that will go for a temporary ceasefire and then finish negotiating all the things that have to be resolved, or that will go for a final deal, and until then we will have continuation of the hostilities. So we will see whether this or that happens in the coming days.
And the ceasefire will be after the hostages are sent back?
Well, if not all the details of a final, permanent ceasefire are determined now, we might have a situation in which we have a temporary ceasefire. In that case, only part of the hostages would come back, and the rest would have to wait until we have a final, an agreement on the final resolution and a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza.
And would some prisoners also be released from Israel?
Yeah, naturally, as a part of that, that would happen as well. But Israel will not shift from its very clear policy to bring all the hostages back and to get Hamas out of power in Gaza.
And there is also a security setup that Israel intends to have in Gaza, which will be a part of the ceasefire. Can you just share details of what that
Well,
will be?
the details have to be elaborated, but there's no doubt that we will have to have a grip on the situation to make sure that Hamas cannot rearm and regroup, and a mechanism will have to be established to verify that the monopoly of power goes to a more moderate force under an international umbrella, and we'll have to monitor the weapons that are entering into the Gaza Strip and those that are forbidden.
So do you think this will happen before 2 years are over, before October 7th?
We don't know. Look, we have been trying to achieve that result much earlier. Unfortunately, as a result of Hamas' stubbornness, the refusal to accept the fact that they were defeated, and their attempts to use propaganda and all this sort of famine campaigns and that have been pretty successful, we've been, postponing a result. But I'm pretty confident that now, as a result of the adoption by the Israeli cabinet of a resolution to take Gaza City if Hamas doesn't cooperate with what the international community wants them to cooperate with, if it weren't be for that decision, probably we would have even a prolongation of the war. We have to create a very clear choice for Hamas. Either they accept the terms of the international community to renounce power in the Gaza Strip and release the hostages, and if they don't, Israel will have to continue the military operation until we get control of the entire Gaza Strip, which we prefer not to do.
And so one last question. There are 4 countries who have expressed that they would recognize Palestine as a state in September. What do you have to say to that? Britain, Australia, France and Canada have said it.
Well, we believe they made a terrible mistake, because the first thing that happened was that Hamas took credit for that, and they sense that they are rewarded for the atrocious attack against Israel on the 7th of October. Number 2, it was a bad decision because it actually prolonged negotiations and actually gave Hamas the confidence that they can prevail in the Gaza Strip. And the third time, it was a mistake because their recognition is not going to change anything on the ground. At the end of the day, what will change the reality of the ground is if we defeat the terrorists, if we give the Palestinians a chance to rule themselves with a more pragmatic and moderate force. Israel is interested in peace, and we have tried in the last few decades, time and again, to achieve a resolution of the conflict with the Palestinians, but they have been proving that they are completely unreliable, because instead of building their own self-rule, they've been trying to destroy Israel. So we will have peace in the day the Palestinians will decide that they want to build their own country and they don't want to destroy our country.
All right. Thank you so much.